Moxa's MiiNePort E2s come with a NetEZ technology suite, which is a set of powerful tools that help device manufacturers easily add Ethernet capability to their serial devices. Today, let's take a closer look at one component of the NetEZ technology suite, AutoCFG. AutoCFG is a function that lets you automatically deploy the same configuration settings to multiple MiiNePort E2s simultaneously. Here's how AutoCFG works. First, I need to configure one MiiNePort E2 with the settings that I'd like to use on all my MiiNePort E2s. This is a MiiNePort E2 that's been attached to a starter kit, and I've used the starter kit to connect the MiiNePort E2 to my laptop over here. So I'll just use this laptop to navigate to this MiiNePort E2's web configuration console. In this web configuration console, I can configure many different settings. I can configure my operation modes, my serial port settings, I've got an accessible IP list, and so on. For the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to rename this device name I've got here. We'll customize it. Let's say this MiiNePort is destined to be embedded in an Acme card reader. So we'll call it Acme card reader. We'll go ahead and submit this change. The final setting I must change once I've got all the settings the way I want them is the AutoCFG setting itself. AutoCFG is enabled on all MiiNePorts by default, but once they've got the settings I want, I don't want them to keep searching for new settings every time they boot up. So I'll turn off AutoCFG on this MiiNePort because it already has the settings the way that I want them. It's now called Acme Card Reader. Next, I will export these settings to a MiiNePort text file to save on my computer. And I'm just going to save this file to the desktop. Now, I will use this computer to start a TFTP server to host the file. This program, TFTPD32, is available freely online as an open source resource. Note that the TFTPD server must use this network prefix. That's because that's the network prefix that the MiiNePort E2s will look for files on. This server will automatically host any files that's located in its folder. So I've gone ahead and moved the MiiNePort E2 text file into this folder. Now every time a MiiNePort boots up, if it has AutoCFG enabled, it will look for this TFTP server and download the text file. All right, today let's use AutoCFG to automatically configure these three MiiNePort E2s with the new settings. I've connected these three MiiNePort E2s through this Moxa EDS205A switch to my laptop with the TFTP server. I'm just going to stop this TFTP server for now, just so I can show you what the MiiNePort E2's current settings are. Let's go ahead and find our MiiNePort E2s here. As you can see, we've got our three MiiNePort E2s. And let's take a look at their web configuration console settings. This one currently is using the default device name, MiiNePort E26406, and I'm just going to check to make sure that AutoCFG is in fact turned on. And it is in fact enabled. This means that the next time this MiiNePort E2 is reset, if the TFTP server is up this time, it will download that configuration text file and update its configuration with the configuration in the text file. Let's take a quick look at the other two MiiNePort E2s we're using. This one also has the default device name. And our third and final MiiNePort E2 is also using a default device name. So these MiiNePorts are all at the factory default settings. Now, let's see what happens if I were to start the TFTP server and power cycle restart each one of these MiiNePort E2s. When they restart, these MiiNePort E2s will automatically search for the TFTP server and retrieve the configuration file from the TFTP server. When this light starts blinking, I will power cycle each MiiNePort E2 to apply the new settings. Now that I've done that, let's go back to our computer and take a look at what happened. Looking at our TFTP server logs shows that 3 different MiiNePorts have retrieved the configuration text file. If I go ahead and navigate to the configuration pages of the MiiNePort E2s themselves, I should see that, yep, in fact, they've got the new device name that I've customized. And they should also have AutoCFG disabled. And this one does. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the other two. It's also named Acme Card Reader. And so is my third and final MiiNePort, Acme Card Reader. So these three MiiNePort E2s have, when they were turned on, automatically connected to the TFTP server and downloaded new configuration files for themselves. Now, in an actual production environment, what you would do is you would keep connecting your MiiNePort E2s to the TFTP server and automatically retrieve the configuration file that you want each time a new MiiNePort E2 is connected. AutoCFG is just one of the many functions in the NetEZ technology suite, which also includes SCM, MCSC, and EasyPage. You can go to the Moxa web page for a complete description of NetEZ. Thanks for watching.